Welcome, everybody. My name is Mr. Reality, and I usually work with Liz Cross on the Psychic Liz Cross channel. And I'm a proficient remote viewer. Been doing that for over 20 years. And I'm always looking for a way to make money with remote viewing. That's kind of everybody's goal. People want to know the unknown. I want to know that too, but I want to figure out how I can make money. So I thought, why not open it up for people that also want to make money like myself, and they can help participate. Can everyone see the screen okay? And do you hear me okay? Great. We'll have a chance to stop and answer questions in a little bit. I'm going to give you an introduction to the process and to the techniques that we've used in the past and what's worked, what hasn't worked. And then I'll have an opportunity for you to do some of the exercises on your own to find out what works for you. And then at the end, we can ask you what you want to participate in. So, lottery is really difficult to get the answers to. So, we use associative remote viewing or muscle testing, pardon me, or flash sketches, uh, because we want to get the answer quickly. And that's the feedback aspect of remote viewing. We don't know what it is that we're remote viewing. We want to get the answer to it. And so these are methods that have worked statistically for other remote viewers. And we'll go over what each of those types are, how they work, and how we can apply them to different remote viewing. So, remote perception is the idea that you're perceiving things in a non-local manner. It's wherever you are, you're sending your mind out, your consciousness into the matrix, and you're tacking the information, attacking it, and bringing it back to your where you're writing at your desk, and you're collecting that information. The problem with remote viewing as a misnomer is that people think that you can view things and it's like I'm closing my eyes, I'm seeing the target. That's not essentially what remote viewing is. That's why we retagged it to remote perception, and a lot of the other viewers have done the same because it's not a viewing as per se. It's more of just a perception, an unconscious, an awareness, and knowing about something. So I offer a 5 week to 6 week quarterly class in remote viewing and tap, and some of you have taken it. I appreciate you being here again. It's going to be beginning again in February, at the beginning of February, and that'll give you a chance to do long format remote viewing sessions in stages. So stage one, two, three, four, and five. That's not as rapid fire as you want to get for remote viewing because those sessions take time. It takes more like a 20, 30 minutes for a full remote viewing session. So for lottery and those types of picks, we want to do it more quickly. Remote viewing is used in prediction models, but there's a lot of different methods for that. Hey, Liz, welcome. Good to see you.
Hey.
So what we're doing is we're training our mind to access future data and feedback that we're going to get from the target. We'll have a chance to ask questions here in just a bit, Liz. I just wanted to introduce people to the concept, and everyone out there listening, I appreciate you being here watching on YouTube too. So the challenges in lottery for remote viewers are that remote viewing numbers is it's difficult. It's because numbers are not a real thing. They're not tangible. So it's almost imaginary. If I give you as a remote viewer the cue 47, Elena will get something different than Candace will get something different from Anna because 47, there's no real uniqueness to it. It's whatever the viewer feels about it. And when we're remote viewing, we want to know what ball represents the first drop, the second drop, the third drop. And those balls are actually associative balls because they're not real numbers. They're just the balls that have that number on them. So to get meta on you, uh, the lottery draw process is also an associative process. So in remote viewing, we're trying to add another associative element to attach to each of those numbers or something about the number to find out what it will be after the draw. Successes are rare in remote viewing with number selection, and you have to find a different method for doing a full scale remote viewing session. Plus, it takes a lot of work preceding a draw. There are there's 50 states here in America. There's hundreds of lotteries that I'm sure I'm not aware of. I'm always trying to look for the easiest draw out there so that we can use remote viewers to attack that problem. But there's a lot of mental noise with remote viewers too. And mental noise just means my imagination is kicking in. The environment is busy around me. I'm not really focused in. I'm trying to guess what the target is, what the cue is, what the ball is, what it looks like. Plus, there's delayed feedback. If I want to remote view the lottery tomorrow, I'm not going to have enough time because there's a lot of setup and there's a lot of pre-work that goes into it. There's a lot of judging and analysis if I'm doing all those sessions. So I need to give myself like a lead week of runtime to do a remote viewing session on the lottery. And there's no real learning loop for that. People aren't learning how to get better at it because there's this delay in the feedback for them. And as a remote viewer or a muscle tester or a tarot card reader, you want to get immediate feedback. So remote viewers, they guess a lot, and it's not really determined whether or not they were doing a full remote viewing session or whether they were guessing in it. So those are some of the challenges that we try and avoid with these other modalities. There are a lot of different state lottery links, and I've gone through those. Let me know if you can still see the screen with the lottery link on it with a yes or a no. Did it share to that
Yeah,
screen?
it did.
Okay, great. So I went through and I pierced the veil of all the different 50 states of lottery to find out what are the prerequisites of each of them, whether or not I can pick a number being an out of state resident, whether I can remain anonymous as an out of state resident. And I want one that has one draw per day because that's the easiest to do. A lot of times remote viewers will get the right answer for the wrong draw and they're like, oh, I just got it, I got the second draw and the numbers were for the fourth draw. And so that's a problem. So if we can only look at one day, one draw for either a pick three or pick two or a pick four, that makes it easier as a remote viewer. Plus, we want to do things that not Keno because Keno has 60 different numbers. We want to look for a 0 through 9 association in the lottery. So we can look at Arizona. They've got a one draw daily. We can look at Colorado. They've got a two draw daily, I think, but you need to give them your first and last initial. So we want to remain anonymous. We don't want to do that. So we're going to continue down the list. That got a good rating. There are two a day, though, in Connecticut. There's a pick three night. There's a lot that aren't good here, and we can look at the best possible states are in green, the possible states are yellow, the dangerous states and the no-go states are red. So we'll thumb through. Kansas looks good. There's a pick two there that happens twice daily. We want once daily though. Minnesota is good. You could open up a daycare there, or you could play the lottery, which, one of them might be easier to do. I'm not sure. But you can only win $10,000. We want to win more than $10,000, but it's a pick three. So we'll scroll down the list. We could do a Minnesota draw if we wanted to. Virginia has a pick two daily draw, and West Virginia has a once daily draw for a pick three and a pick four. And it's a $1 million. It says conditional though, so I'm not sure how that works out. But we could either look at Virginia or West Virginia for those picks and run a session, run an analysis, run a model for, let's say, Friday's draw. We'd have to get 10 different photo associations, unique pictures for zero, a unique picture for one, a unique picture for two, for three, for four, yada, 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 etc., until we got to the end. And we'd have to do our remote viewing session, which takes 20 minutes. So now you look at, we've put 30 to 40 minutes in that. Uh, it's a long, tedious process, and I'm, week out. And it's also difficult to judge with remote viewing to find out if you have the right answer, which picture you drew, if there are 10 associations. You don't want to co-contaminate yourself by saying, I chose this photo for the first ball, this photo for the second ball, this photo for the third ball. It's a learning curve too for remote viewers. You can change this by doing smells or scents or other sensory applications for each number. That works for some viewers, but everyone has their own specialty in remote viewing. Some viewers are really good with senses, some are really good with tactile information. So you have to learn what is your best ballywick when doing remote viewing. Let's go back to the presentation. There are a lot of challenges. So we can work on Virginia or West Virginia, and we can try that weekly and see how well we do with our accuracy. We have to track all the viewers, track the associations, and find out how well we do, and then buy them online. I don't know what this is for out of state residents, out of country residents. You're going to have to check your own unique laws about that. Also, this is for entertainment purposes only. Please do not think that we're going to win the lottery. I have to say that for legal purposes as well. So the solutions are we can do associative remote viewing where we assign the targets based on a binary. Binary is easier because then I don't have to guess which of the 10 photo associations I've done. I could maybe make a cue that says the first number of the West Virginia draw for Wednesday, January 7th is even. Now that's in binary association, so I can have a photo for even and a photo for odd, and then all I have to do is pick along which two it is. That makes it easier. I can also do muscle testing. Now, if you've done muscle testing, you know that it could be very good, could be very bad. I've gotten about 65% accuracy in muscle testing when I do it, so that's a good modality for me. Remote viewing is a better modality for me. We'll go on how muscle testing works. Some of you may have tried it, but there's a couple ways you can do it. And then there's something called ideogram mapping. So when you first learn remote viewing, the first thing you learn is ideograms. They're a quick squiggle on the page, which represents the entire zip file of the target that you're viewing. And then we go through the rest of the 20, 30 minutes decoding that zip file. You don't analyze it. There's no symbolism associated with it when we're doing it for lottery, but there are ways to do just a quick ideogram for that. And some people are really good at it, and some people are terrible at it. So you just have to find which is your best modality. There's a second muscle testing where you sway your body back and forth. And the first one is you touch your first finger and your thumb together and you try and pull your thumb through there. There's a lot of different modalities. I'm not saying which is best, but you can figure out which is best for you. Um, when we're doing associative pairs, we can associate with the target being a number itself. What that means is we're trying to remote view the number directly. That's the hardest get in remote viewing. I've got viewers from Malaysia to Taiwan who tell me that they can write fire in the sky and that will give them the pick three lottery number. Then when I say, show me the proof, I don't see the proof. So you can convince yourself of a lot of things, and remote viewing a number is a difficult thing, and I'm still working on how to get it. When I do, I'll tell you. But right now, that's the hardest ask in remote viewing. The second one is an association where we're associating it with a color, a picture, a smell, a scent, and that's easier. There's also the target as an object related to a person. We could do, some people are really bad at remote viewing people. A lot of remote viewing practices or Facebook groups that you join, they'll have animals as targets. I am terrible with animals. So once I get an animal target, it's not going to go well for me. And I start to get angry within the remote viewing session. That's just me. Some people may have, excitement about that. The association of the target has to be done randomly and has to be blind to everybody involved. What blind means is that me, Mr. Reality, I don't know what the target is. I don't know what the cue is. It's been done by a robot. I do love animals, but not in remote viewing. Um, it has to be done blind so that I don't know what it is, you don't know what it is, and you only know after you're done with your session. That helps prevent what's called tasker overlay, where me as a remote viewer want you to get a right answer. And I send you like the mental image in my head of the rabbit. Um, so it's best if we figure out how we could use a robot or a bot online to make the cues for us, and then we do our session, we turn it in, and we can judge it or it can judge it, and then we can get the answer. The targets have to be unique, the targets have to be randomized, and the targets have to be not influenced by humans like myself. Ooh, I just admitted that I'm a human. That's the first time I've ever done that. Immediate feedback should be given, and you could do self-judging or robot judging. The robot can judge your ideograms, it can judge your muscle testing, it can judge. It's not great at associative remote viewing, looking at full targets. I've done some experiments with Grok and ChatGPT and some DeepSeek to find out how good it is at grading. I've got a whole grading system when I'm running a remote viewing project, and I track everybody's data points. So your data point is just a single word you write down in the session, and I track all of it when I'm doing a project. This is an example of an associative remote viewing target that I did. So I had two unique photos. One is a cave spelunker, three guys spelunking, and the other one is a ravine with a railroad across and a bench. So dissimilar targets because one has rounded edges, the other has straight kind of edges. Admittedly, there was water probably in both of them. So you would go through a quick associative remote viewing session. This, you might not be able to read my gibberish there, but the way that I was writing that cue is begins the race from an even numbered barrier, current correct associated photos, site reference. And so we were looking at a horse race, whether it was an even block or an odd block, and we were going to slash the list of horses and then continue on to find out which horse it was. So I sent this only 83169535 and sent that to remote viewers. They submitted a target and I judged their sessions based on what they got. I think it came from an odd number block. We had 4 remote viewers participating in that Royal Randwick project, and then they move on to sketch the silk color and a lot of other things. But that's just one element of how we would run an associative remote viewing session. And you can't see the graphics. Can anyone see the screen? Nikki can't see the screen.
I can see it.
Okay, Nikki, you got to look at your screen, I guess. It's on the screen. Everyone else can see it there. Not sure why that's not working. Everyone else says yes. All right, thank you. Maybe reboot your computer, Nikki, and I'll readmit you into the room. Hmm. So binary picks, we can do lottery, or we can do stocks, or crypto, or the poly market. Associative remote viewing is lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of work, lots of sessions, lots of analysis, lots of judging, and lots of sessions, lots of viewer fatigue, lots of window for long feedback. The viewers get discouraged. They don't get the lottery numbers. They spend a lot of money. They didn't pick the right orientation of the numbers. They didn't pick it wheel, or they didn't pick it box, or they didn't pick it end numbers. There's a lot of things you can do for lottery to win. We can still do it, but it's a long ask. Um, we could try with muscle testing. I haven't done that yet, but that would be a fun task to do. Stocks and cryptos and polymarket are a greater flexibility because you have faster feedback. You have a binary ask that we're getting. There's no like 10 number association. There are no draws. There's a single outcome and it's known. So when we get there, that will give us the target, the answer. And we'll do some of these here in just a minute. But the stocks, cryptos, polymarket is a better play for remote viewers, whether it's a binary, whether it's ARV, whether it's muscle testing, because you get the direct feedback of the answer and you can track it more easily. Muscle testing, you can do it like this. I use my left thumb pointed up like a, hey, let's do this. And I use my right forefinger and right thumb, and I make a circle with that right hand. And then I put my circle over my left thumb, and I ask myself the question in my head, or I ask myself my question aloud. And then I try to pull my thumb through that right hand. I try and pull my left hand through the right hand. If I cannot pull my thumb through my right hand, I consider the answer is yes. If I can pull my thumb through my left finger interlocking, if I can pull my left thumb through my right fingers interlocking, I consider that as a no, as my answer. And I'll do that 1 to 2 to 3 times, and I'll track the answer each time. And I'll see, well, when I did my muscle testing, I got 3 yeses. 3 yeses is pretty good. So let's say the answer is yes. And we can do that. There's also muscle testing with a body sway. I'm not as good at this, but other people have reported being good at doing this. You can also use your body temperature method or a deep breathing method to find out how many breaths per minute you're taking with a yes answer and a no answer. There's the finger method, finger dexterity. You can also use dowsing, which would be like a box or a grid on a sheet of paper, and you're writing an X on that box. Or you can use a pendulum swinging or dowsing. All of those might work. I'm not saying I've practiced them or I'm good at them, but you might be good at them. One of these might be your best answer to winning the lottery, and you've got to practice to find out which it is. This is the arm up and down method too. So this is an idea that I had. If you know someone, you can stand up and you can hold something that, like, let me give you an example. So my nutritionist taught me this one. She said you stand up with your legs across and you hold what, like, the vitamin supplement to your throat chakra, and then you put your right arm out like at a 90-degree angle. And if I can push your right arm down, then you don't need that. But if I can't push your arm down, then you do need that. And so she said, I said, that's crazy. And she said, well, grab that bag of chips. And so I grabbed a bag of chips and I put it in my throat chakra, put my arm out, and my arm went down like a sack of potatoes. There was no holding it up at all. So this you need this person like a secondary person to help you with this other method, but it's pretty accurate because your body knows what it is that you need, and it can accurately tell you. So maybe we could do this with pick three too. You hold zero, first number drawn, Wednesday, lottery draws, and then you put your arm down. Then you, but you're not supposed to know that it's a zero. You'd have to be blind to it. So you'd have to do that 30 times to get the pick three, but there might be a fireball number, so you'd have to do it 40 times. And you might get tired of putting your arm down that many times. So you'd have to go through 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 time. Then, but it might work. And that's another method that you can use to pick numbers. So you have to calibrate your muscle testing first. You have to clear yourself second. You just mean asking, am I clear? Am I getting accurate information? Am I biased? And then you move through and ask once, you ask again, and you ask a third time, and you track what your answers are. You have to know the order of the numbers. Best to not know the order of the numbers, but what your unconscious is doing is it would be picking the first ball drawn. So it's important that these are not computer draws as well, because you want a physical ball that drops down. That's easier in remote viewing. That's a method for that. There's also flash sketching. So I teach flash sketch in my remote viewing course. It's an immediate image burst of what the target is. And you could do like a 15, 30-second drawing of what you believe the image is that's associated with the winning ball number or the winning event outcome or the winning sport ball team. You're doing a quick sketch. You're not analyzing it. You're not judging it. You're not making imagination. You just pick which sketch this resembles, A or B, and that's it. This is like 15 or 30 seconds. So this is a great method. Muscle testing is a great method. Flash tests are a great method. We'll do a couple of those in a minute, but the flash sketches, it's less like a little thumbnail sketch, maybe 2 inches by 2 inches. And then you look at the photo and you say which photo is the right answer. Ideograms are what we teach also right after the flash sketch in remote viewing. And an ideogram, like I said, is that zip file which represents everything at the target site. So it's a rapid, spontaneous motor, not thought form. And you're just doing like a quick squiggle on the page. It represents anything I want it to represent. So I could do it with remote viewing. I could do it with polymarket predictions. I could do it with lottery picks. I could do it with coin crypto market predictions as well. But the ideogram is your first representation of what is at the target site or what the ask is. I'll show you an example of some ideograms here in just a second, I think here. Here we go. So these are all target reference numbers on the left, TRNs. And each TRN is associated with an ask or a report or a statement. Like the price of Bitcoin will hit $104,000 over the next 4 days, or by, let's say, January 9th. I don't know what that is, but I've got all of these TRNs that I'm supposed to go through. I've had a robot make the unique TRNs for me, and I'm just doing a muscle testing 3 times of what do I feel about G4H696 or 6J9? And I do my muscle test and I do it again and I do it again. And I got no 3 times. And then I made a quick ideogram. So that third line is an ideogram representation of what my body feels about that TRN. And I go through this. I've got like 50 of these that I do at a time, and they've all represented an ask or a statement that a robot has made. And I track my yeses, I track my nos, and then I go back to the spreadsheet that the robot has made, and I say, what have I chosen, and what was the outcome of my choice? So I have to keep tracking back to that spreadsheet to find out what I asked. But if you don't get an agreement, it's okay to pass. So if there's like 2 yeses and 2 nos, oh, to explain what I'm doing with the ideogram is when I make it quickly and it's trending down, I consider that a no. And when the edge tail of the ideogram is trending up, I consider that a yes. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for parity in my ideogram expression and my muscle testing to see which one is on point. And I can track the answers for my muscle tests, my ideograms to see which ones are more accurate. And that's what we do. It's a quick run through. It's better than a whole remote viewing session, but you can run into a fatigue of sorts if you do muscle testing, just like you were dropping your arm in the pair person muscle test, your brain starts to bit befuddled after 25 of these little pairs or ideograms that you're doing. You have to take a break. Are there any with three numbers? Um, there are three number associations, but it's, a trinary ask or a 10 or a deca ask. So it's difficult when we're doing this. We're not using this for remote viewing of lottery numbers. These is like a quicker ask about, is this statement correct? Is this team going to win? And you'd have to have either a tasker make this list of 50 target reference numbers that are unique and not reused because you don't want to repeat like the Y7 VSL3 because you're it might track back to the previous ask of it. So you need to have a running account of these target reference numbers, which are unique IDs, unique qualifiers that represent a task or a target or an idea or a statement. And that's what we're asking ourselves about it. So I would do about 25 of these at a time, check my accuracy. So does anybody have any questions so far about that? And any of the methods? Has anybody used any of those methods? I'm going to pause for questions here. Go ahead, Liz. You're unmuted. Welcome. Thank you for being
Oh,
here.
oh, thank you. I was trying to raise my hand. I was trying to be good and
I don't know where
raise
the
my
hand raise is.
hand. Thank you for this presentation.
Oh, thanks for being
You
here.
really worked so hard on this, and it is very thorough. I understand it because I know all the stuff about remote viewing and muscle testing. So what are you guys going to decide to do? Are you going to do pick threes? What have you decided what you're going to work on, what your targets are going to be? Not targets, but your tasks are going to be?
That's the question. That's the ask. It's a project, an ongoing project.
Mm.
Which one we're going to do. We're going to try long range targets, intermediate targets, and the quick, response targets. You're confused with the notion of immediate feedback. Tarot card readers may never get feedback from their clients. That's true, but you can use tarot card associations in remote viewing. So other remote viewers that I know, they'll lay out 10 tarot cards and they'll assign, 0 through 9 face down, and they'll do a session saying the first number drawn represents whichever tarot card it is, and then they'll have to decode their session. For any of the methods are statements of protection from negative energy needed. I would say not necessarily no, but it's always good to do a protection for yourself throughout the day so that no one comes up with you or attacks you. And there's not going to be any negative energy associated with this. Yes, Candace.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, unmute. I was pressing unmuting. Yep. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
that's okay. Hey, just the my question was like about the immediate feedback because I think you gave the example like that you don't that it's more like it would be difficult for a tarot card reader to get the feedback, but I wasn't asking about actually doing it as an ARV. I just wanted to clarify the actual immediate feedback meaning. Sorry.
So like within a day is immediate feedback. You want
Mm.
to, as a remote viewer, you want to turn your session in and you want to get feedback like within 24 or 48 hours. Some of the project groups on Facebook, you do a session for them and they don't respond for like 6 months. And then you're like, I forgot what the hell I even did 6 months ago, but here's the cue we did. So, um,
So, but does it matter if that we've got running ones going? So, say if you're doing two a week or something, does it matter if you don't get the like what is the predicament about how why the immediate feedback is good or bad?
the reason it's
Is it
good
just for tracking?
It's good for tracking, right? Because I don't want to lose track of what the answer is. But some of the statements of fact won't take effect for 30 days. Like if I'm looking at a 30-day trend line of a stock or a crypto portfolio, I need to track back on it in 30 days to get the answer to what the remote viewer told me a month ago. So
Oh,
you
sorry, I
always
was
have.
just asking about the pick three, like just that particular notion. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Pick three is going to be a difficult ask too, and it's hard to
Right.
get to work. I'm going to launch a quick quiz here while we're going through
Oh,
questions, and you can feel free to look at the questions, answer them, or ignore them, whichever you want. Um,
oh,
yeah,
how
go
did
ahead,
you
Liz.
do that? That's so cool. Like, how did you know how to do that? I love
Well, I'll
that.
tell you, I had a poll made for a quiz made for the Zoom call that I made yesterday. And today, Zoom deleted all the quizzes and said,
No.
we're moved it to another spot. So I had to remake this quiz a moment ago, before this call. So it may not be, I apologize, any typos that are in there, but I had to rewrite it very quickly, like 5 minutes ago. But you just go
Mm.
through and you add quizzes or polls to your group, and then people can answer things during it. That way, I get feedback live of what other people want out of it, what they expect out of it, and I can show you how
Mm.
those work.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Your flash sketching, does that bypass the ideogram or do you still do the full session?
No, it does bypass the ideogram. It's a
Oh.
supplement. It's preceding an ideogram. In remote
Mm-hmm.
viewing, my method temporal awareness perception methodology. We write down the target reference number, then we tilt our head back, we look for and open our eyes and make like a quick 15-30 second sketch. The second time we
Mm-hmm.
write down the TRN, we'll do an ideogram. The third time we write the TRN, we'll do an ideogram. And the fourth time we write the TRN, we do an ideogram. So you're writing the TRN 4 times, only once as a flash sketch, 3 times as an ideogram.
Wow. Yeah, that so you're going to offer the short version, which I love the short version, and also the long version for people that want more in depth, or maybe they need it. Maybe they're no good at the short version, so they have to do the long version. Now, how are you going to score these? Are you going to run them through an AI or are you
It
going to do
depends on the
it yourself?
methodology. There's self-judging, which you can do. There's me judging, which takes more time. And there's AI judging, which has to be trained. So the more people we get to participate, the better the AI can track what it is that we're looking for. The AI is has more trouble looking at a full associative remote viewing session because that would be about 3 or 4 pages as a PDF. So I need the bandwidth to store the PDFs. I need the bandwidth to have the bot run it, check it, look at all the parsing of all the data, then compare it to which target answer it is. The ideograms are an easier judge, and I've got programs that I use that track the movement of that tail in the ideogram to tell you if it's a yes answer or a no answer. And I can teach people how to do that. And also the short flash burst sketch. We'll do a couple of those here today too. There's a poll that popped up. I see 2 people have done it. If you want to continue to answer some of those questions in the poll, that would be great. Code the Water, thank you for being here. How are you? Good to see you. Asked to unmute. Go ahead, Code.
Hey, hi
Hi.
guys.
Hi.
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 I was wondering if I wanted to do the uh what was the pendulum? Yeah, the pendulum testing with binary and the TRNs assigned by an agent would I mean that would be pretty simple to pull off by yourself. You're looking to create a group to do this, a large group?
The group will be larger, yes. So the idea is that we have group participation, and I want to ask people what their comfortability is in the poll out there as to what they feel they'd be comfortable doing, how they want to participate, if they want to participate. The pendulum does work great for some people. Right now, my fan is on in my room, so it would impede the movement of that pendulum. Wind is an aspect. Also, your bias could be like micro movements that you make when you're holding a pendulum could affect the bias. Um, I have a pendulum sheet that I've used, and I can't find my pendulum though. Pendulums are sketchy. Like when they don't want to be used, they will hide, and then when you want to use them, they'll pop up again. So right now, I can't tell you where my pendulum is because it's hiding on me, but hopefully it will reappear and I can try that method with muscle testing and with ARB and with sketching.
Right. So we could maybe do some cross modality, for practice on the side. Maybe like the finger thumb and the pendulum would be easy binary self projects, but you're looking for a group. Okay. I actually exited out of um the thing to ask the question. So hopefully I can put my answers back in the poll for you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking for people to try every method because, we want to test all of them and see which one is going to work for all of these asks. So, someone asked about dowsing rods. I've not used dowsing rods, but I've used the muscle testing as a dowsing rod. And I've used just my own intuition by, admittedly, I, I'm looking for things. If I'm like out in the wild, I'll tell myself, move to the direction of where what you're trying to look for is. This is before we had Google Maps. I was at a remote viewing training in Portland. I'd never been to Portland before, and I wanted a hamburger. And so I said, which direction? I asked my unconscious, which direction would I go for a hamburger? And I was able to find it like within 4 turns. And I didn't have Google Maps. I just, maybe my nose sniffed it out, but I was able to find it with that. Judy's practicing with a pendulum now. It's fun to see if it works. Has a little chip inside of it. Well, that scares me. I don't know about the chip. Is it is it tracking? Do they know you're using the pendulum now, Judy? You meant a different type of chip. I understand. Any other questions about like the method so far, the ideogram method, what it means, how to use it?
Well, what I would have to say is that it's so fascinating trying all the methods because it tests you to see what you're good at and what you're not good at. And if you want to work on the areas of weakness and how you can do that, or if you want to just work with your strengths and expand upon your strengths, that's what's so phenomenal about remote viewing. The fact that, you can figure out where your talents lie, and B, it's all documented information. So it's not like, you know, Russian roulette or a stab in the dark. You know whether or not you got it right or whether you got it wrong, or, the problem that I have with the ARV is, and this is a typical problem with someone who has my skill set, you pick up on both targets and you
That's
start
common. Yes.
describing both targets all the time, which is why when I'm trying to do ARV, I have to do sound associations,
Hmm.
right? I can't do like the target things. So I would be better off doing a yes or no muscle testing, or um or doing a sound association. But I didn't know that until I actually got stuck into it and did the work and found out. That's what I love about it. You learn who you are, what intuitive abilities you have. It's great.
Yeah, it's works. We've got a workaround for that binary too. Go ahead, Magic.
Hey, hello. Thank you for
Hi-oh.
organizing the whole thing. I have a question about the pick three and tasking it. So if you had to go about the pick three, how many targets that will have to be prepared for one of them?
For lottery?
Yes, is it like 10 targets per each number? So it's like 30 targets?
No, when you say target, you're talking about the remote viewing session that you're doing. But when you're talking about targets, you're talking about the photo association. Yes, to do a pick three, because there are 10 associations with 0 through 9, you could use that
Mm-hmm.
same pool for your second ball drop. And you could use that second pool for your third ball drop. You don't need 30 different photo associations. It would just be 10, probably. That would be helpful. Maybe you would
And
have,
how
I
many
would say
people will have to
10.
do it?
Well, then you do 3 remote viewing sessions. You do one for each of them, but you couldn't look at all the photo pairs or all the 10 photos until you were done with all 3 sessions. So your judging couldn't commence until you finished all 3 of them.
And so effectively you need at least 10 sessions. But one second, how would you
No.
decode?
No, you wouldn't
Yeah, go
need
ahead.
to. Sorry, can I answer this? You wouldn't. I know what he's asking. You wouldn't need 10 sessions, right? So your sessions are only going to be 3 sessions, as far as I'm aware. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Reality, but you would say, okay, you want to move to the time of after the draw. So your remote viewing, so say the draw is at 12 noon. You want to move to, would do like 12:05. So you want to move in time to 12:05 and say, what's the number of the first ball? And then you could either draw your ideogram or do a quick sketch. Okay. But then you would, at that point, Miss Reality, would you end the session or would you automatically go on and ask for the second ball?
Yeah, you
Because
do
I
this. You'd
always
end the
end,
session. You'd continue because
yeah,
each
that's what I
target is
do.
unique. You'd close it down and start another one. Well, thank you guys for
Right.
participating in the poll. Thank you for the questions. We'll continue on. We'll get to questions at the end too. I wanted you guys to do some practice with it so you could do muscle testing. So for the first one, we're going to do muscle testing where you interlock you could use your right or your left hand, whichever one you want, but you want to make like an OK sign with one of your hands. And then with the other hand, you're going to put your thumb up and you're going to try and put it through that. And you're going to be blind to it. I know what it is, but you don't know what it is. And you're going to ask yourself, what is the answer for VW27? And then you're going to write what you've got there. And you're going to write on a sheet of paper. You don't tell me what it is. We'll wait till we get to the next page. You're going to write yes. And then it doesn't matter which dominant hand, just practice, see which one you're better at. And you're going to ask yourself, is VW28 yes or no? And you're going to write yes or no for that one. Now you can do it once, twice, or three times. I like doing it three times. And then you're going to move up to the next one for DM26. You're going to ask the same thing. Is DM26 true or false? And you're going to try and pull your thumb through your finger. And you're going to do that three times. And then you're going to do it for DM27 too. So let's take like 1 minute, maybe 80 seconds, and then we're going to go through the answers. You're going to tell me what you got. You're pulling your thumb through that OK signal. So your OK signal is parallel to the floor. You're putting your thumb through it, and you're trying to pull it through that loop. All right, so if you could write in the chat what you got for VW27 first. A lot of no's. If you could write what, no, 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 yes, yes, yes. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. And see, this is the problem with a lot of people. You get different answers. The confidence is strong. I think I got it. I think I didn't get it. And so we'll say, based on this analysis, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we've got 16 no's and 11 yeses for the first one. All right, for the second one, VW28, what do we have? Do we have right your yes or no? 1, 2, 3. I don't know. People aren't participating. I don't know. They can't. I don't know, but they're just some people aren't responding. What did you get for VW28? Please drop in the chat. Oh, all right. So when you get three no's, this time I'm not going to consider it a no. I'm not going to consider it three, it's one. And that's your consensus bet on what it is. If you get yes, no, yes, like Code the Water, her consensus is yes, even though one of them is no. And had she done an ideogram that said no, it's okay to pass and say, I don't know which one it is. So for this, Magic can tally that up. Tell us what we got for those. And let's do now DM26. What'd you get for that? Give me a single answer for your DM26. Someone got F. That's interesting. All right, once is good. And finally, DM27. Give me your answers for that. A true or false, a yes or no. The statement is true, the statement is false. You can read it any way you want to because we don't know what the ask is at this point. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we got. So the VW27 and VW28 are a parity. They're asking like the yes version of it and the no version of it. Apple will announce a crypto integration in 2026, and Apple will not introduce a crypto announcement in 2026. So we're asking VW27, does it match what we got for VW28? And that's what we consider double confirmation when we're making the ask. Does that make sense? So we're not just asking once, we're asking twice. And if we get counter conflicting results, then we can pass on the statement. It's okay to pass. It's just your unconscious doesn't want you to know. And the second one, the DM26 and DM27, is a AFC team wins Super Bowl 60, February 8th, 2026. We don't know which team is which yet. Or DM27, a NFC team wins Super Bowl 60 on February 8th, 2026. What would the answer be, yes or no, for VW27? Um, well, if they do announce it, if that statement is true, then it would be a yes. But if the statement is false, then it would be a no. So yeah, we're double checking to make sure that we're always asking that we're not dropping something. So, that's the way that I like to run that game. And I try and make it so that I don't know what it is. I've had a robot make up the cues for it. So that's one method of it. That's the quick feedback of it. You haven't gotten feedback yet. You'll have to wait until February 8th to see which of you got the right answer for the Super Bowl because I don't know which team's going to win. But when it starts, you're going to know which team wins because of your muscle testing, right? We could go through and do more of them to find out which team wins each division, but it would take more than one ask. So I thought it would be fun to do it quickly. You get feedback on VW, but you don't get feedback yet on the DMs. We're gonna have to wait a month for feedback on that. Sorry. Sometimes you don't get it for 30 days. That's what I said, right? Well, now let's try the flash sketch. So this is a new unique target. We don't know what it is, but I want you to, on your paper, just use like say in your head DM17 and make a quick flash sketch. And a flash sketch is like a 15-second sort of sketch about what you think will be what this target represents. DM17. So let's take 30 seconds and we're going to find a blank sheet of paper. We're going to do we're going to close our eyes. We're going to not try and see the target, not try to imagine the target, but we're going to close our eyes really tightly, squint, and then open them up. And then whatever you feel you need to write on that page, write it down. All right, that should be enough time for a flash sketch. Usually takes 15 to 20 seconds. Let's see what DM17 represents as a cue, as a target. If the United States wins more than 20 gold medals in the Winter Olympics 2026, which is coming up, the viewer will sketch a guitar. If the United States wins less than 20 gold medals in the Winter Olympics 2026, the viewer will sketch anything else. This is what's called a unitary associative remote viewing target. So Liz was saying what happens is you're a lot of times a viewer will sketch both things. And what I'm asking for the remote viewer is to only sketch one thing. So because you're not great remote viewers yet, you may have not gotten this answer. This is a harder ask to do Flash sketch, and it's a harder judging and analysis for what your sketch is. So, but this way, a cut log. So the log could be a guitar. The tall building could be a guitar. The fish, not so. But sometimes the fish could be, depending on how you wrote the fish, because it could have the scaling or it could have the lines on it. Our our analysis brain is trying to say what it is that we got. And so this is just the first time you've seen a flash sketch, the first time you've tried a flash sketch, so you may not get it right. Don't place as much credence in this as we have in the other two muscle tests because it's, we haven't done it before. But I want you to practice at flash sketches. I want you to practice at only getting a single target and doing a long format short remote viewing session on it. You might be more accurate at that. Your scribble is like a guitar. Well, very good. Then they might win more. But we're not saying that you're right, but that's just a possibility. So this is a quicker way that my flash sketches are not a full remote viewing session. Could be a guitar. Interesting. We're going to try one more, just a quick sketch. So we're going to do it for DF88. And so just close your eyes, squint, and open. Don't worry about getting it right or wrong. Just write without thinking, sketch without thinking. The first image that comes to your mind, and don't try and judge it. Don't try and add to it, embellish it. Let's do about 30 seconds. All right, let's see what this represents quick. If the Fed, which is the federal government, does not cut rates at their January 2026 meeting, the viewer will sketch anything. If the Fed at their January 26 meeting, it should say if they do cut rates at their 2026 meeting, you will sketch a waterfall. So, do you have a waterfall or something else? And this is a quicker way for a remote viewer who's a little bit more proficient in remote viewing to sketch something because your mind is going directly to the target. Your mind is processing the whole cue, and the unconscious is making this decision. So people got a car, the dog, a happy face, a broken clock, a different thing. We could do a muscle testing on this, but now we're polluted to it. We know what the cue is, we know what the ask is, so we're not blind to it. We're now what's called front loaded in remote viewing to what the task is, and our own bias may a straight horizontal line straight down like an edge. Could be a waterfall, might be. But we'll get answers to this, I think, on the 26th or 27th. So there's a little bit longer lead time on this one. And you may or may not be right with the flash sketch because, again, it takes like practice, like I said. So I wanted to just give these quick examples of how you could use the muscle testing, how you could use a flash sketch. The longer form associative remote viewing, we'll do some of those also over on the Patreon. If you're interested in joining, Magic set this up for me. You can either go over to Patreon or you can look for this I'll post this on Liz's Patreon too, the lottery probability field sign up bot. And there's a way to access it on Telegram. What we're trying to do is create a Telegram bot so that it can be tasked with your sessions you're supposed to do for the week and then give you feedback for them. So it's less input from me, and I'm not overlaying what I believe the answer should be for you. So we can get more people with more data and more bot judgment. So if you're interested, we'll find it on Telegram and over at patreon.com/reality forecast and also youtube.com @reality forecast. There's a lotto tier. If you want to join that lotto tier, we're going to start there this week. We'll have weekly meetings that go through the assignments. We'll have weekly meetings that go through the answers. We'll post all of the information that we get. We'll post our feedback on it, and we'll post what our viewers get for the people that are in that group. And hopefully we can do lottery asks as well, but they're longer range sessions. There'll also be products on there for soul path alignment on the Patreon, and also product openings for old time photo requests if I can ever nail down a time with Liz to do some more old time photo requests. So run over to the patreon.com/reality forecast. Also, my remote viewing course will be up in February. Does anybody have any other questions about that or any of the other asks about it or how we can apply it? I'd say that's a waterfall, definitely, because you've got the movement on the sketch. So good flash sketch there. Send your magic. Well, what time am I thinking about doing the remote viewing course? I want to do it probably now, like 2 o'clock to 3:30, which is my time for Europeans. It'll be better climatized to European models. So it'll be Tuesday, Thursday, starting right now for 90 minutes, twice a week. And I'll post that on the Patreon and I'll post that on the Ko-Fi as well. Very good. Excellent, Magic. Fantastic job. Questions from you, Liz? Anything we've done? How often can we meet on the lottery if we join? Well, I would say that we'll try lottery. We'll do it like with a week lead time. And I want it to be something everybody can buy. So we might do lotteries, just for Virginia 1 week, or lotteries for Manu suggested Pancake Swap also has a lottery. Also, you could do it on Polymarket. So the asks for Polymarket are a lot easier because there's not it's a statement of fact and the statement is out there. So where's my sheet of other tracking I'd done over here? I don't know where that is. So what I do is I track everything and I track what everybody gets currently and is it must be there. Oh, it's there. Oh, there. There. So where did the sheet go? I'm going to share this screen if I can. There it is. So for previous asked, we went through, we would track the trend line, we would track market prices, we would track whether or not it was a win or a loss, and we'd go through looking at, man, can you believe if you could buy Tesla at 150 right now? Wow, those were the days back there in 2023. I tell you what, I would buy a lot of Tesla right now at 150. Man. But right now I'm doing this all manually. So I'm doing all the tracking, I'm doing all the tasking manually so that when I send it out to a viewer, you can hear feedback and I have to put it in the spreadsheet. But I'd like a way to do this so that it's more automatic. And that's where the robots come in. Yeah, go ahead, Magic.
Sorry, I just need to make a joke that robots will take our jobs, but that's fine. So my question is, do you want to run these predictions for some time from now onwards and maybe try to calibrate if it's any tangible outcomes could be delivered before that a way to go ahead? I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, that's the announcement. Sure. We're going to start, and whoever wants to join can join, and we'll practice it. We'll tweak it. I mean, there's no one modality that works, there's no one method that works. So I want to track everything and find out what method is going to work best. So we'll continue to do it ongoing, every week. Alina announced he's going to build 1,000 starships between her Texas facility. Well, Elon overpromises and underdelivers a lot, so I would take that low bet on the 1,000 starships right now. That's probably up on Polymarket.
But again, I've because the way I think about this, it's a number game, and I assume there should be like a minimum set of Sorry, because I don't have a nomenclature to speak about this problem, and that's what yielding the difficulty for me. Because the task could be the same task regardless of the modality you want to use to assess it, or the same question would be called a different task if it's done through the different modality. Meaning that if somebody you do the ARV session, is it still the same task as if somebody will try to answer the same question by using the muscle test?
So I'm not sure what the answer is to your question or what your question is, but I'll give you my answer. My answer is each person will only be assigned one modality for a metric. So if I'm doing Elon Musk will build 1 million starships between now and January 31st, 2026. Clearly the answer is no. I might give that to you as a muscle test, but if I
Hmm.
gave it to you as an ARV target, I wouldn't do that. Each ask, each
But
task, each statement will only be sent to one viewer, one participant, maybe
okay,
two, maybe three, but the modality will never change. So we're going to track maybe not. Maybe I should
because
do three methods for each ask and see which one is more
because
accurate.
sorry, the my brain maybe works differently because for me the task is the modality plus the question you ask. And if you change the modality, probably it's a different task. So effectively you could test the same question with three different modalities on the same person. They wouldn't know even because you are blind to let's say picking the method
I think we need
because
to
you could assign it.
we need to knock down the nomenclature of what is basically task, what is
Wow.
basically target, what is basically session.
Yeah.
And so for like you're thinking about it from a programming metric, and we'd have to really nail down the metrics of that. I wrote this bot in my own language, which is imaginary robot language. And when I dropped it into ChatGPT, it told me my JSON was off and I needed to do all these things. I didn't have enough parameters. And so I think what Magic is telling me is I don't have enough parameters for my statements right now. So you're telling me the same thing ChatGPT did.
uh, no, because what I'm interested in is the statistics because in principle you could assign different modality to the same question. Uh, let's pick the Elon Musk sending rockets, and you could pick three different modalities and just test them within, let's say, 24 hours on 20 different people. And the modality is picked randomly to the person. So you don't always pick the same modality because there's a point that if you always assign one modality to one person, unless what somebody wants to, let's say, do only muscle test,
Well,
then they
whatever the
will do only
robot
muscle test.
decides, we'll let the robot decide what it's going to give us. And I agree with you. I think it's better to have different people in different modalities doing the ask. That way we can track it, and that way it provides for a better, explanation. There was a Greg Kowalski something something who did a
Hmm.
13, 16-year project on associative remote viewing, and he tracked all of his hits and losses, he says, but it's only him. So if we have 20 remote viewers doing 20 sessions a week, then that's a lot more data than one person can generate in 16 years. And I'd like
Yep.
to see that, the metrics for our group build and grow as, that would be 400 different predictions that we're making per week.
Yep.
That would be great. And you could bet those on Polymarket. That would be a statistical windfall for any of us.
I would recommend initially to probably aim for less,
Oh, we will
maybe
aim for
two
less.
for
Correct.
a week, or maybe just two even per week,
But I'm
but
saying
collect lots of inputs.
as it grows, it
Yeah,
could
yeah,
be
yeah.
more.
But anyways, there is a point that every person will have different performance in terms of their skill, their mood, and whether there's a full moon, low moon, or there is the what do you call it, like
Moon
the
cycles will not be
solar
tracked in this
activity.
assignment because moon cycles are gibberish and gobbledygook, and I say so. So I don't think it's important to track your own moon cycle.
No, 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 no. Uh,
Candace is angry at me right
ah,
now.
there
Candace can track her
are
moon cycle. No, I will look at the pomegranate book and I will write down the moon cycle that I'm remote viewing in. Well, there's remote viewers. The moon cycle might be effective for you. It might have effect on you in your remote viewing ability. And there are other remote viewers that look at the sidereal time, and I've often said that the sidereal time is hokum. So
But anyways, so long story short, this is the external variables and internal variables. And by randomly shuffling lots of things, you can kind of exclude those variables. And I assume as well, the more we're gonna do as a
you could
function of time, you should see better performance as well. And you
I
could
wouldn't want the
probably
remote viewer to
measure that.
track that. I would want the person that did,
No, no.
I would want the robot to track that. So I would want
Yes,
them
yes,
overwhelmed with, am I in my moon cycle? I would prefer when they submit their session that the robot tracks that. And then it has
yes.
their moon cycle as to what time it was done. It has we could track sidereal time. We could track planetary alignment.
I mean, those things you can add later on because they kind of you can look them up. But again,
Right.
there is at least some basic minimum that you need to capture so that you
It's an
can
interesting
compile
ask we
later
don't
those
need to figure
numbers.
out right now. I agree.
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
I ever won the pick three before? Uh, I have won. I've had the problem where I got the right numbers for the wrong draw. And I've been off. I've gotten a couple numbers with a lot of remote viewing work before in Texas. I did not do it when I was in another state. Um, but I've gotten two numbers out of three for the wrong draw. So I got new numbers. But I'm anxious to get, practice with you and get some of them, get more. Does anybody else have any other questions that you'd like to ask or cover about the target, the project, the ask, or any statements? The poly market is interesting. And I tried to sub to poly market, but it said because I'm an American, I can't do it. So there's a poly market wait list. And I'm number
VPN?
516,373 on the wait list. So any minute now, I'll be poly. You're 400,000. Okay. So
You sign up with VPN?
it's a big list. We're all waiting. No, I didn't sign up with VPN. The tax man has more teeth than they used to here in the States. So we're a little bit more cautious about how we do VPN work with our pocketbooks.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. We're waiting. But you could bet on Polymarket and you could, get the windfall. So I'm doing it for you too. Polymarket's a good ask. There are a lot of bets out there. You can make your own bets. We could make our own bets statistically that we know are right and bet on them because I think when you make a bet, I don't know how it judges what that buy-in is. When Polymarket, you can buy when for bet first comes out, the no answer might be lower, and then as time approaches closer to the event, it might move up. So it's more of a parity buy. So if you had a Polymarket account and we test statements that were not overtly on Polymarket yet, but that we had the answer to with remote viewing, with associative remote viewing, with muscle testing, with flash sketches, if we had four qualitative modalities that said this is the right answer, we might be able to make a bet, buy low, and then get a better return on it. Maybe. Speculatively on my part. Does anyone else have a question? Go ahead, Magic.
So you put your finger in the air and give me a rule of thumb. What sort of uh, precision we could expect from this type of work? Is it like 55% or more like 80%?
Well, that was my ask in the questionnaire. Yeah. And so statistically, my muscle testing was not great. My ideogram is better. Uh, it ranges between my muscle testing is around 53% over, I did that over 2 months. My ideograms are around 60%. My ARVs are up to 70%. And so if we have more people, more modalities, we can raise that. But I would like to build this leaderboard of everyone that's a participant that shows how many sessions they've done of muscle testing, how many sessions they've done of ARV, how many flash sketches, whether they were accurate. Muscle testing is 60% accurate for Manu. Is there another resource we can learn about these muscle methane tested? Sure, just you can Google it up and figure out what they say about it. Um, I'm looking for anything above really 65% is a miracle. And so I'm looking for like a 75%, which is beyond miracle level. And if we had a 70% hit rate, which went a 25% error wrong rate, we would still do amazingly well on Polymarket. Polymarket creating winnings with your bet. If you make actual bets, then you can sell your bet to others before the timer runs out. That is cool. I didn't know that about that. Can we do CTT to remove our blocks? 100%. I was two and used to pick the horses, and then your mom got afraid of your psychic abilities. Well, that's terrible. I mean, it's terrible, first of all, that your mom took a two to go to the tracks, but secondly, that she discouraged that type of behavior because mom should have been playing the ponies a lot better, I'd say. We don't want to be betting against each other. That's true. So I'd like you to take autonomy of your own bets, make your own bets, do what's best for you. I'm not encouraging you to bet. Farmer Jane did an experiment last week where they did a 2-week experiment on their own to pick the daily four. They got answers for each of the ball 3 times, used the data sets 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and pared it down and just got the numbers. I got 3 numbers. So it is possible with more people to get the answer faster. It was just a lot of work. And that was the main complaint at the beginning of the session that we discussed, is that it's just excess work. So if we can parse out that labor to more participants, we can get better answers, more actionable answers, quicker, faster, and more money coming back to you guys. Anyone else have a comment or question?
When do we start?
All right. When do we start? In regards to Polymarket, are you stating that we could bet our own results or something along those lines because there is no house? Well, you can make your own statement of fact. And if we do that offline in remote viewing, and we know that it's a factual statement, even if it's not a bet on Polymarket, we could start it and you could bet low and then make a better return on it. We start right now. We're gonna start right now here. We've already begun at this point. We'll be launching, that's the Patreon launch. We'll meet every week currently to do the tasking, and I'll look at the results of the poll to find out which one of you want to participate in which modality at first. We'll build the spreadsheet to track your participation, and it'll be posted hopefully every Friday with actionable results for our predictions for the upcoming week. So I need to figure out the days that we're sending out the asks and the tasks, and then my goal is to build predictions or the prediction post on the Patreon currently on Friday. We'll see how that works out. We might play with the dates as when they come out, but hopefully we'll get minimum 5 predictions a week. I'm really aiming for 20 predictions a week, which would be 80 predictions a month, which is a huge ask, I know, for a lot of you, but that's really my goal for it. So it's a lot better value than any other picks out there or pick companies out there. All right, guys. Uh, Join me over there on Patreon. We'll have all the results of the poll and also when we're going to start, and I'll send you the asks and what we can do, and we'll task you and start making some predictions. Thank you guys very much for being here. I really appreciate it. I don't know what that
I have a
picture
last
is.
question, if I can
That's
ask,
scary.
but that's if we stop recording.
Sure. Well, if it's too hot for the recording, then I don't know how to not record. I don't know where the button went to not record. So there it is up there. They